Now, I will say, for the first time in a while, and a lot of different groups deserve credit for this. DFA, Credo, others. Credo did this last cycle too. It seems like a lot of groups on the left have learned how important these off-year elections are in terms of base turnout, and are spending their money not on glossy TV ads and stuff that pads pockets, but are actually really spending it on identifying and turning out voters on the left. And if we have enough people doing that, maybe we can, maybe things will change. Maybe we can get our voters out, even if they're not in the same numbers as we would during a presidential election, somewhat more than we have in past midterms. That's at least what I'm hoping.
Now, one thought that I think the Democrats are hoping will drive people to the polls is the minimum wage. It gets a lot of it polls very well, but I don't know that it's enough to bring people out. The Senate this week attempted to pass an increase in the minimum wage to 10.10. We knew it would go nowhere in the House, but they could not overcome a filibuster in the Senate. And so now this fight for the minimum wage seems really to be moving locally. In Seattle, we're seeing something that, to a certain extent, I mean, it's positive. The mayor I think it was, yesterday, presented a plan to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, but it is very much incremental, and
it's gradual. It could take up to 7 years.
Yeah,
hell, that's still better. I mean, look, is that what I want? No, it's better than what's in other places, and I feel like, again, the value, and this is another thing the right gets and why they go after state legislatures and they do stuff, is politics is just, again, is not just based on facts and figures. It's based on emotion, and it's based on conventional wisdom that builds from that emotion and culture. And when somebody's willing to step forward, just when a couple people are willing to step forward on not cutting Social Security, but raising it, and just like when a couple people were willing to step forward and talk about income inequality, suddenly others are more willing to do it. And so the fact that Seattle has been willing to do that and is getting the kind of press they're getting, then maybe we'll see some other cities. And maybe there'll be other cities that are even, have more progressive city councils or mayors who might do it in a shorter period of time. And then there'll be more pressure on cities like Seattle to speed it up. So just the fact that it's out there is important.
Yes, I would agree with that. And we should just note that Kshama Sawant, the socialist. City council member, she is continuing her drive to get signatures to get a referendum on this, because to raise the minimum wage that slowly, in some respects, does seem to be a rather watered down proposal. But getting back to your point about it may be catching fire in other cities. In LA, the city council is considering a plan to increase the minimum wage for about 12,000 members of the hospitality industry to $15.30 an hour or somewhat. And so that's encouraging. In Chicago, voters in a non-binding referendum are looking to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour for employees of large corporations with something like $50 million worth of annual revenue. I think there's something happening in South Dakota in terms of a ballot measure. In New York, there is a push to allow for local home rule, to allow, like New York, say, to raise its minimum wage. And of course, Andrew Cuomo the Lesser, has been fighting this proposal.
I love that.
For reasons that seem to, for stated reasons that seem to me to be incomprehensible. The idea that somehow you will disadvantage cities that raise the minimum wage. You don't want to create disincentives for business to go there. But if the city is making the choice themselves, I don't understand how that's a valid complaint. And it's classic Cuomo. In Michigan, I think there is also a push to have restaurant workers make a larger minimum wage. So we're seeing this across the country on a more localized level. But again, you're right. I think it creates a sort of a sense of momentum.
I think that's what's important. And, I've worked in enough political issues at this point. I've seen it with what's going on with guns, where a number of states have passed sane laws, and a number of localities. Was it Travis County is the one where Austin is in Texas? They were saying they were going to require. I don't even know if it's what the end result of that is, but they were going to require background checks. So you've got a place in Texas doing it. Gay marriage. We've seen the same thing happen. Pot. I mean, there's a point where this stuff becomes, for lack of a better word, viral. Oh, yeah. And enough people start pushing an idea, and particularly people who are either celebrities or are very engaged online, and we get there. So all of these things are in the right direction. And, we'd like it to be faster and we'd like it to be national, but it never works that quickly, sadly. So
well,
we take what we
take what we can get. And time will tell.
Take what we can get, and we're not satisfied. We keep fighting.